is either you are misled or you are informed. On the side of funders also, you may find that they have a certain agenda. And so they fund certain areas because they want to achieve whatever they want to achieve. There is still that gap between academia and application of the solutions. Research is not a luxury, it's a necessity for our beautiful nation. Hence, all hands on deck.
Hello everyone from wherever you're watching from. Welcome to one of the founding episodes of SAS Knowledge Repository podcast. I remain the founder, Lazarus Amukeshe, and here we only do good news. We only deliver good news. And by this we really mean amplifying primarily Namibian research and ensure that such detailed academic knowledge is transformed into accessible public knowledge. And today I'm joined by two very capable individuals in their own right. And of course there's a gender balance. We brought a lady and a gentleman. I'm joined today by Prof Wealth and also Dr. Simeon Hamukoshi. I'm very excited for the conversation that we're going to have and welcome.
Thank you.
I think I need to give a bit of a bio, just people so the people know exactly who we are with today. And with your permission, I've done some small work, some small homework, and really just to jot down a few words towards your accomplishments. Please feel free to correct me. Okay. I've copied them somewhere. Let me be honest. I've copied them somewhere. Prof, Eukeria, right?
Yes.
Eukeria Wealth is an independent tax accountant and researcher who holds a PhD in accounting sciences from the University of South Africa. Am I still correct?
Very correct.
Okay. She's a senior lecturer at the University of Namibia, and she has keen interest in taxation, financial inclusion, diversification, and transfer pricing, specifically in developing countries. She has published research articles in reference journals and also published book chapters and co-authored taxation texts. I think I'm still right. Okay, perfect. And then Dr. Simeon Hamukoshi is a strategic projects coordinator at the Namibian National Commission on Research, Science and Technology. It's such a long name. where in his right, he advises the CEO on AI strategy and policy development. He leads the national projects focused on integrating AI into governance frameworks, ensuring alignment with ethical standards and international best practices. And he is the chairperson of the National AI Working Group, and he plays a central role in shaping Namibia's AI strategy. And Dr. Hamukoshi holds a PhD in chemistry.
Yes.
Still correct?
Very much.
Okay. Perfect. But they say you can say a lot about somebody, but you'll most always miss out something. Is there something that you guys want to add to your bios? Prof? Any interesting thing?
No, I guess the audience can also do their own research.
Way to go. We have a research topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you have done a very good homework.
Okay, perfect. I think then we can then jump into the conversation, and please, there are no rules to the conversation. I think we are all professionals. We can we can work with, I think, a very good topic and do justice to it. And today, really, I asked you, and it's really an honor to have you in studio today, is just to lay some good foundation, specifically with regards to research. And as I was preparing the talk during the weekend, I figured I came across one very interesting Chinese proverb. And that Chinese proverb says, people can be sleeping in the same bed and have different dreams. And the reason why I thought it's very interesting is I looked at it from a research perspective, and I thought researchers are sleeping in the same bed with policymakers and even business people, but it looks like all of them, to an extent, are going different directions. And I think my aim and our aim really as SAS Knowledge Repository is try and bridge that and ensure that what researchers are doing are either translating it to policy, or we're seeing products coming out of the research, and not just have more academic leaning work and industry needs to reinvent or invent from somewhere else. And I think with that really is really why I think this conversation is particularly interesting and is necessary for us to have. But all things need to have a beginning.
Yeah.
And I think firstly, it's always nicer to lay that ground and really ask ourselves, what is really research? I think from Prof's point of view, and then later we move over to Doc.
Okay, thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity to be here and the honor to highlight such a very vital piece of information to the public. Well, from a layman's perspective, research is inquiry.
Okay.
It's investigation.
Okay.
Yeah, where you are seeking to find answers, seeking to find solutions. Yes, and also to diffuse debates and arguments. Because people, like you're saying, they are in the same bed with different dreams.
Yeah.
So you could be together, but with different opinions. Data is what will differentiate you. We can be arguing for the sake of arguing, but do you have data to support your assertions? Do you have reputable sources to substantiate what you are saying? And so through a systematic collection of data, analysis, and presentation of findings is when we can arrive at an informed conclusion to say, okay, so this is it.
Okay.
Rather than just concluding based on somebody's opinion. This is how I feel, or this is what I want it to be, or this is how I like it.
I like that how I want it to be.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Yes. I mean, becomes a bit challenging when a prof speaks.
Next time I think we'll ask you first,
No, but it's fine. I think the prof have mentioned it all. Research is inquiry, research is investigations, all aimed at finding solutions to known problems, or also just trying to sort of maybe improve the efficiency of how things are working.
Yeah.
So that's in short, that's what research is literally.
Perfect. And I like what you said. And you mentioned the very key note to say it's known problems. Now, can we research something that is unknown? But that we can maybe talk about it later. Yes. But I think also sometimes it comes off sometimes that we can only do research when it's academic driven. Is that correct? Can I just decide myself that I want to do research, or do I have to go through the academia route?
Yeah, I think also just to give a bit of context, we have the National Commission on Research, Science and Technology, right? The commission sort of regulates research in the country.
Okay.
So the commission doesn't do research, but it supports the research institutions in conducting the research. So most of the research, not all research translates into qualifications.
Okay.
So not all research translates into qualifications and stuff like that, but some of the research can be done, for instance, policy advices. So that is the research that we do at NCRST. We don't really do research for academic purposes, but because that is a function of the universities. Our mandate is sort of to support research, but we also, the little research that we do is that one more aligning towards policy advices.
Okay.
So yes, that is just what I wanted to touch on.
Okay. I didn't know that. Okay, Prof?
Yeah, maybe I can add to say, I want to believe that if you are to make any decision, or rather informed decision, it's premised on research.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe in your context, you are looking at more of published research.
Yeah.
But I would say that even our daily lives, they are based on research.
Yeah.
Even whether, like now, where the economy is mostly pro-entrepreneurship, at a very peasantry level. For instance, if you want to venture into maybe chicken farming, and you want to, and you don't set a plan, and you don't do enough research, you're bound to fail.
Yeah, bound to fail. Yeah,
bound
true,
to fail.
true.
So you need to plan.
Yeah.
How many chickens do I want to start with? What size will be my fowl run? and feed.
Yeah.
What quantities?
Yeah.
At what stage?
Yeah.
Maybe the feed one chick is taking in the first week is probably different from the third. And the seventh.
Yeah.
So you need all that information. There's true research that you can only be able to determine, even for you to know then, will your selling price break even or give you a profit, and at what margins? That is very key. So if you are not a researcher, you find you're bound to make mistakes.
Then we need to do research on everything that we try to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I think that's it. And also there are businesses as well.
Yeah.
Like you find that even mining companies, for instance, most of them they have these research and development units where they really do their research to really improve their products or quality, or just have that sustainability component of their business going.
Okay. Lovely. I think it once, I'll leave this platform quite informed myself as well, because I think we tend to have that one view only, that I think research is only important if you are to go get the qualification. And I think that I think that's probably also why people like me believed that, because in my head, I think, especially when you talk about businesses having a research component within the organization, it was almost considered like it's a luxury thing that renowned businesses, or your World Banks, IMF, they have a dedicated research department, because I think maybe they've identified all the problems and then they are supposed to do that. But it's not really something that I think is quite ingrained in our local businesses to have. Just that it doesn't have to be big, a research arm to really look into their problems. And then I think my other question then to you all is in so conducting these particular researches, how does it foster critical thinking, if any, and any problem? Does it actually help individuals sort of hone their problem-solving skills? Prof.
Okay.
Did it help you? Let me turn it around. Did it help you hone your problem-solving skills?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I can tell you that now, with all the research skills that I've acquired so far, you'd find I'm so cautious.
Yeah.
Before I indulge into anything, I would want to know, okay, where am I targeting?
Yeah.
And where do I want to arrive at? And so what are the necessary steps for me to get there? So prior to being informed with regards to my goal and the necessary steps that I should follow, I will not start on anything. So that has personally cut down on my personal life in terms of, obviously it has reduced my chances of making
mistakes. Yeah.
It has also helped me, I've made some mistakes in life. I guess you guys
I think we all have at one point,
And so when you meet wrong people, they masquerade as somebody else, and you think this is the right person. They present a certain impression, whether it's a business venture or whatever it is. You probably buy into their idea, not knowing they have a different motive. So it is through researching on, like, you did some groundwork before we came here, how you knew about me and so on. But I could also play around with that information and misrepresent facts. So it's either you are misled or you are informed.
Okay.
Yeah. And it is through research that you can only be informed. Yes.
I like this nugget.
Yes, I think that's true. I think also on my side, research has sort of influenced my day-to-day lives. I mean, the way I do things, the way I go about my activities. Literally, I have to make sure I do my homework. You get it. But one thing that one thing that I've picked up with research itself, before you conduct any study, you need to do a lot of reading, literature-wise. And by that, you get to also become knowledgeable in a certain subject. And not only with literature, if you are then trying to improve something, you just don't start by improving it. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun. Everything that was there have been done already. So you get to also then look at people's methodologies, what they've done, and the results that have emanated from this, from their designs or methodology. And then, if you want to then to have a different result, then it starts by analyzing the methodology used. That sort of ignite that critical thinking aspect to redesign the methodology so that you can have a different result. Yes, so that is really how then it sort of shaped me even on a day-to-day basis to say, okay, if I want to be successful in this, let me first see what did people do, where did they fail, because I don't want to repeat the same mistake.
Yes.
Then I say, okay, fine, this is where they failed, and this is what they did, and this is what their results have translated into. So if I'm to then work on it, I shouldn't just focus on the results, and I have to begin by understanding what they did. It is a methodology.
Nice, impressive. I think. See, I think when I'm done here, I'll also title myself a researcher. Because definitely I'm getting all the nuggets around research. And I think that quite ties in, and I like that part that you said, that you have to sort of look at what the other people have researched on, look at the methodology that I've used. And I think that's a critical thinking part. But is there also? I think there's also an element of maybe curiosity in there. Maybe let me not have it as a sentence that there's curiosity. Is there curiosity that is involved in just, I think, identifying any if particular issue is a problem at all that needs to be looked at.
Okay, so maybe just to add to also what he said.
Yeah.
So what happens is you are studying literature, you are bound to find conflicting ideas and opinions and conclusions from various researchers and scholars. By the way, most researchers and scholars, they barely agree on anything.
That's new.
You should know that.
Okay.
They barely agree, and so you find conflicting ideas and thoughts. And if you are to, because of that, that will also probe you to ask more questions. Why is this one saying this?
Yeah.
So that's why you find then sometimes you are getting different views, probably because people are coming from different regions, different backgrounds, and probably with different resources. And like he said, probably they apply different methodologies to arrive at that conclusion. That's why their conclusions are conflicting. And so if you look into all that, that will cause you as a researcher now to start to inquire and probe more into it. And as you are doing that, that is also exercising your critical thinking into, okay, so what if I add A and B? Do I come up with a C or I come up with a D?
It's almost like being a child, right? Like, a child asks so many questions. Why is the bottle like this?
Exactly.
I get it, yeah.
Yes, just too many whys that in the end is just driving the curiosity. Because, I mean, in the end also, you are never really satisfied with the work, because you're like, sometimes you arrived at a certain point, then you think, okay, is this it? Or someone else will come and work on my on what I've done. So is that consistently asking yourself why, looking at the curiosity as well around it. And so curiosity really works with researchers. It's an element. There's always an element of curiosity in every researcher.
Maybe to add to that is to say, apart from curiosity, it's also refusing to be content.
Okay.
Because the reason why we are even here is because some people were not content with their situation and circumstances. I like to give this analogy to say, in the very olden days, people would need to get on the cart or a donkey to deliver a message, whether by letter or by mouth, right? But at some point, we started having landlines and so on, right? after a landline, somebody got tired of that landline. Like, while I'm enjoying myself at the pool, I'm hearing I have to dash into the house to answer this call. Why can't be the way whereby I can just respond to this at whatever place I am? So that's also that refusing to be content with that situation and saying, there's always a better way. It can always get better. You know,
I like that.
That's now we had those. You remember the first hands-free phones we had, the 5110 Nokia, and big. And somebody again felt that this is too heavy. It's not portable. Why can't we come up with something
smaller,
you know, razor slim? Now we're having these smartphones. We have all this innovation. Even if you think of aircrafts, remember the first aircraft? How many people? Now we're having Airbuses. How many people could fit in the first aircraft? Now we're having showers in the
beds and everything.
We're having everything there, air cons and so on. You understand? So it's all because somebody always thinking of improving. Like he said, there's nothing new under the sun. So you seek to improve, to develop it into something better, something more usable, something more convenient.
Nice. Yes. I like this. Refusing to be content. Hi. This is good. This is good nuggets. And I think in our quest to, I don't want to call it a quest, but in our refusal to be content, there seems to be still a mismatch. And I'm still going back to, to policy making. Our community still complain more or less of the same things, year in, year out, that this and this has not been done. But researchers are doing work. How do we, again, going back to the analogy of us sleeping in the same bed but different dreams, how can we, I think, let me exclude myself from you. How can we, and when I say we, I'm referring to the public and policymakers and have you specifically as researchers, how can we arrive at one point where we are still sleeping in the same bed and having the same dream?
Okay, that is researchers and
even policymakers and even the general public. Because also I think maybe to add, there's also this view that sometimes when it's a paper that is being tabled or a researcher has done some work, it rarely, in my view, goes further. That particular researcher rarely goes further and actually talk to people that might be affected by that particular research. How can we bridge that gap? Who needs to take the first step?
Okay, let me maybe come in here. So there is this. With the government invests so much money to fund research, right? And most of the researchers, the output of research they conduct usually just peer-reviewed paper and nothing really tangible or solid advice comes from it. So as the Research Commission who fund research, we have also clicked that there's actually still a lack of impact on the research being conducted. And hence this year, I think we have then came up with a strategy to say that every research that we are funding should produce not only papers, but should also produce what we call policy briefs. Policy briefs are those direct recommendations towards a certain study or something like that. So this is to say that, for instance, if you are researching on what can I say, fertilizers, for instance, then in the fertilizers that your research is focusing on, there should be some recommendations that are aimed at advising the government on what can be done exactly.
About fertilizer,
Yes, about fertilizers. Maybe is it employment-wise to say, or is it maybe, for instance, business-wise to say, okay, fine, if Namibia is able to produce these specific fertilizers, then we must block off the import of fertilizers internally. So because, we are importing all the fertilizers, right? So this is just to say that the research should really come up with or should produce some specific policy recommendations that the government should be able to act on, not only papers and stuff like that. Yes.
Okay. Funny thing, you just reminded me of it's a newspaper article I saw 2 or 3 days ago that says a UN report found out that people don't actually read the UN reports. They're so wonderfully written. I know I've read some of them, very wonderfully written, but it looks like they never get read. And you see, now policymakers on one side, I almost going to design policy in the dark, because the assistance of that research, they never really get it. And I like that those policy briefs. I think they'll really be helpful, because I know, Prof, when we're talking about, sometimes you find policymakers debating, or even in parliament, talking about a particular issue that one day or so, I was reading this, and it addresses all those key issues. So I think those policy briefs, I think as a commission, would really come in handy for the general public. Prof?
I also think that the funders must collaborate with the research institutions.
Yeah.
Because that gap between research and then the implementation of the preferred solutions is quite a challenge.
Yeah.
We have voluminous publications, but that have never been put to practice, that have never been implemented. That's why you were echoing that many are still crying about the same problem over and over again, because there is still that gap between academia and application of the solutions. And there's always a conflict again between, conflict of interest in this one, in terms of what do we want to achieve as academic institutions? Is it just the quantity of publications we should have, or is it about the impact we want to make on the society?
Yeah.
So it's not on the side of funders also, you may find that they have a certain agenda and a narrative they're expecting. And so they fund certain areas because they want to achieve whatever they want to achieve, but at the expense of real societal problems that need redress. So that is always a challenge, and that gap can be closed by collaboration, and having, like you said, having a similar goal. We are on the same bed, but are we aiming at the same thing? Do you want this problem solved? Because some people thrive on people's problems. That's what So it's a matter of, do you really want to solve this problem? And so now that we want to solve this problem, we have these people with the research skills, and then we have these people with funds and resources to fund that research. And also, it should be published in sources that are then accessible to the policymakers. And policymakers, they should also make time to go visit our repositories and also search for this information before they sit in parliament. Did they do enough homework? Like Lazarus just did. So you find that they are mostly working on opinion. Remember, we started saying research. Now we are moving away from opinion, moving to data-based conclusions. So rather than policymakers just making decisions based on their opinion and what they think of people and their preferences and the challenges they are facing, let them also visit their our repositories and dig into what we have done so far, what solutions have been preferred, have they been implemented. I can tell you that, for instance, for my PhD, 90% of my preferred solutions have been applied.
Nice.
By yes. I don't know whether they accessed my document, but obviously after I completed, I had to distribute it and make sure. And so I really applaud myself for that. And
nice.
So I would say that as researchers, we must aspire to make impact. Because it's not a matter of just producing a very nice cover page of a book, with very...
the golden letters.
and even sophisticated jargon that even the policymakers will not be able to make right or left of it. What do they need and how do they apply it, or what do they do? Sometimes we're also using jargon that is not understandable to a layman. And as a researcher, nature, you are supposed to be a good communicator. You're supposed to be communicating a message so that those audience that you have said should utilize that information are able to break it down, interpret it, and apply it.
Nice.
I think also, not just to dilute what the Prof said, from the government perspective, there's a lot really being done. Because as a research commission, what we do also is that we sort of determine the research priority areas for the country. To say, especially in the area of science, technology, and innovation, to say the government should focus on this, the government should focus on that. But now, the good thing is that we just don't have a workshop at work or organize a meeting and say, colleagues, this should be the priority areas. We look at the developmental agendas in the country, like the NDP 6, the Vision 20, Vision 2030. Then we look at fine. The country is looking at these priority areas as areas of development. Then we come in and say, okay, fine. If the country is looking at this, what sort of research should be made to ensure, conducted to ensure that these priority areas are met. So that is what we look at. Then from there, that is when I'm saying that now, when for this research to be conducted, there needs to be funds or resources. So then the government needs to now invest a lot to ensure that research is funded. Currently, currently I think we have around 0.75 of the GDP that is funded into research from the government.
Isn't that too small?
0.7, I think 0.75.
Yeah.
But the target, AU target, is actually 1%.
Okay.
To say, fine,
okay,
if
we
the
are
country
close,
really invests this much, this 1% in research and development, then it will really attain its priority areas when it comes to development. But now, if you look at this 0.75, 90% of that 0.75 is internationally or donor funded.
Oh,
you get it.
Okay. Yeah.
Then the other 10% again is being split between private sector and the government. And if you look at it, then if you calculate, you get to realize that the government is only investing maybe 5% of that 0.75. Now, if you don't, they say you only own what you fund.
Yes.
You get it. So it becomes a bit of a challenge. But overall is that the documents are there, the research priority areas are identified. It's just a matter of really bringing up more money so that all this research is conducted, and this research can then translate into policy briefs, well summarized. What is there? These are the recommendations. Then you give that to policymakers. Then it becomes much easier to read and implement.
Yeah. You would be surprised. Maybe there's somebody that's done the research on that. Please, if you're out there and you've done research on how to fund research, but I also like that you made mention of, and I think what the commission is doing, identifying those development areas and really trying to ensure that research is well aligned. Because I'm sure we wouldn't want to be researching on something that is, I don't want to say unimportant. Maybe it's important to the researcher, but it's not where the country is envisioning to go. It's not the direction where the country is envisioning to go. And I think that could be probably one of the reasons why. It's not the reason, but it could probably be the reason why we could still be in the same bed and having different dreams. So I think with that, I think we are drawing towards the conclusion, and I'm enjoying the conversation thus far. Maybe from just top of your head, two things that you think researchers, I don't want you to dictate to them, but what do you think is the most exciting part? I know you are into AI, which I think it's a good thing to really run into as a country. But what could be one of the two or three things, even one that you think really researchers, not only researchers but also funders could ideally put out, even calls to fund some of these things, or partner with the commission to try and allocate within those priority areas and see which ones are really top to fund and collaborate. Even policymakers to be on the lookout for, even request or ask that certain institutions try and have this as priorities for research.
Okay, I'm not sure if I understand the question very well.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think if I get it correctly, the priority areas are already established.
Okay.
Yes.
But from those priority areas, which one, personally, which one would you pick?
Okay.
One or two of them.
Yes, it's good that you spoke of AI.
Yeah.
And one of the pressing issue
Yeah.
that is sort of affecting the implementation of AI in the whole country is the digital divide.
Okay.
Yes. And this digital divide is being caused by, say, for instance, infrastructure that are not evenly distributed in the country, such as not only roads, but with respect to digital divide is obviously energy. You need electricity, you see. So you need electricity to cover the digital divide. So if research should really prioritize more on the energy aspect, where we look at our diverse energy resources, be it nuclear energy, to say, okay, fine, we have nuclear, we have uranium as a resources. How do we how do we put it to work? Put up reactors at where we can start at the university level, design small reactors, see how it can fit, how it can work, and solve the energy issue in the country. Also looking at the renewable energy itself, maybe also designing our own solar panels and see how we can also have it around the country, and the green hydrogen as well, you get it. So it's just really looking at, we need to invest a lot, focus a lot on the energy as a priority. Aspect, and when the energy is sorted, then everything else becomes fine. The digital divide will not be there. Then in the end, a lady that wants to sell fish can buy a fridge, put up that, and they can be able to sell their fish. So it translates also to socio-economic challenges. So energy to me is a priority.
Okay. You see, when you first started with digital divide, I was like, okay, maybe is cell phones and but the way you just pivoted to energy, and that's the beauty, I think, of research still. Really knowing where the root cause could be. I think that's lovely, Prof. One or two things?
Okay. Well, looking at our Namibian context, I would think that my main concern is on having more imports than exports.
Yeah.
I think that really affects us negatively as an economy. And I'm sure with rigorous research and at least extensive funding, we could come out with better pragmatic solutions to resolve that and be self-sustained as a nation. Yeah. Because I'm looking at also even in terms of we have imported a lot of theories, ideas, and so at some point I would think that maybe from a commercial perspective, he's already talked about the most contemporary issues in regards to mining, energy, and so on. So I would maybe talk from a commercial perspective to say, even to look into it, a lot has been written about the relationship between tax incentives and FDI, myself coming from a tax perspective. So as Africa or as Namibia, have we really looked into whether really these tax incentives are drawing in foreign investment? And is this real or it's a myth? Is there anything really called foreign direct investment? Does it exist?
So the NIPBD says it exists.
Because I think we must desist from just importing ideologies from elsewhere and thinking they are workable in our own context. Sometimes they are not. And sometimes we have a mirage of results. We are only having figures of we got FDI at this percent and whatever has been drawn from this. Yet we are not looking at the exploitation of our resources, and we're not looking at how much of our people have been employed and how much have we gained as a nation. So like we are talking about a cost-benefit analysis of these tax incentives and what is their impact on this FDI. And I think we must just desist from looking forward to foreign investment. We can do this. We can we can localize this investment and personalize it to an extent that we no longer need to rely on imports. We no longer have to rely, because I talked about us having more of imports. So if we localize manufacturing, local production of our own products here, I'm sure even when it comes to, we will be self-sustaining. Use our own products, promote our local producers and manufacturers, and also that means we'll maintain a positive balance of payment.
You initially had said that sometimes researchers, they don't always sometimes agree, but I think what you said now agrees with something that I know. I'm not so sure if you're aware of Professor Carlos Lopez, the Egyptian guy.
Not familiar with
He once when Namibia had its first Namibia Invest in Namibia conference, said before we even look into FDI, can we first see if we have money here or not?
Exactly.
So I think it ties with what you said. I think towards the very last question, there's always something. I think this question is for you, Prof. There's always something I had an issue with, and maybe this is time to clarify that particular issue. Why is it that universities set a minimum that you can get for your research to be published?
Set a minimum for what?
For whatever score you get, say you get maybe 70% in your research project. If they set it at 70, all those that got 70 and less, your research won't ever get published on either on that institution's library, or it doesn't go into one of the fancy books. And then we have this whole big, let me use an analogy of a box full of all these researchers that have spent 1 or 2 years sweating, and that's it. It ends there. It doesn't get the prominence ideally. Is it fair? And this is a question for you. Firstly, I want to ask Prof, why is that the case? And for you, is it fair? And I exclude myself from the question.
Okay. Okay. To start with, I think as institutions of higher learning, there's always have to be a demarcation of excellent performers from good performers. So there will always be those top performers, and those will obviously be prioritized. I think when it comes to repositories, they also have to work with space, right? So, and pay for, because we cannot, it's also a space that we are loading those.
Yes.
So you cannot just be loading it with a lot of junk. And then we also have a challenge as academic institutions, in the sense that sometimes students have a tendency of just reproducing what others have already done, so there is no new knowledge that has been brought to the table, except that maybe the learner has just exhibited research skills and abilities, but never identified a researchable problem and never arrived at any conclusion that would really say, this is new information that you have brought to the board of knowledge. And so we would not really want to put that out.
Fair enough. I think you've answered the question. I don't think you have to answer.
This is a confession on my side.
No, I think, we talk of impact, right? We want work that will give an impact, that will have proper recommendations. So if something is below standard, then clearly it speaks for itself. There's no impact. But also with publication, getting your research done is like you have not even started with the publication process. It's a whole thesis, and you now have to sort of extract that good paper out of it. Then from there you have to submit it to the journal. Then from the journal send it to various reviewers. Then the reviewers will be like, nope, this is actually doesn't meet standard. Then it gets back to you. So sometimes it's just you being saved from the whole and trust me, they can be harsh. Like those reviewers can be very harsh to a point where you feel like you don't even know what you are doing. And as a supervisor as well, you don't want to put out work there and get rejections when you know already that the work is not up to standard. So it's really just about impact.
Okay, great. I think our very, very last question, and thank you so much. This has been good. Our very last question is, who do you think we should have next? Top of your mind. Prof?
You can go first. I'm thinking.
Okay, I think we should have. Who should we have next? It's a nice question.
Yeah.
I think we should have maybe an executive, someone from the National Commission on National NCHE.
Okay.
What is it?
Yes, National Council of Higher Education.
National Council of Higher Education.
Yeah.
And just to look into, because they are sort of responsible for higher education, right? Just to really speak more on how research really is a priority for this country. Is research really a priority?
Yeah, I think that's the question.
Are they really doing, what are they really doing to ensure that, because they sort of do accreditations, and I'm sure research modules are also accredited. So just to really have someone from the NCHE, and maybe you can do your homework. Yeah. Extract some possible questions leading to how research is really an impact.
Yeah, perfect.
Priority in this country.
Thank you for that suggestion. Prof?
Okay. So that is covered. He covered my area actually.
Okay.
So I'll have to dive from the academic. Then we can have one from the policy side. Yeah. One from the policy side, whether it's going to be a minister or whatever. Yeah, so then they should tell us what they are doing in terms of collaborating with academia for purposes of bringing to effect what the findings say. And like, for example, we have water issues in Namibia. And so what are they doing to address them? There are a number of researches that have been done on that and solutions. And so to what extent have they been implemented?
Sorry,
one more. Okay.
I understand that NamWater, NamPower, they have R&D units.
Okay.
So they have their research and development units.
Okay.
Maybe it would be nicer to get
heads.
somebody from the
have their heads and see what sort of research do they do. Do they have university partnership? Yeah. Or, it's just something like that from their R&D divisions.
Okay, lovely. That's good. Thank you so much for your suggestion. Fingers crossed that we get one or two of them for our next episode. Prof, Doc, thank you so much for coming through today. I know you have very busy schedules. This was good. Your insights are very much appreciated. One sentence. Any closing note? One sentence. Okay. Prof, whoever.
Research and development is the backbone for any industrialization.
There we go.
Done.
Okay. He's done.
Okay, I would say that all progress is born of inquiry. And so research is not a luxury. It's a necessity for our beautiful nation.
That's beautiful. Say it again. I'll make sure we repeat it again.
Okay, all progress is born of inquiry. Yeah. So I'm saying that research is not a luxury. It's a necessity for our beautiful nation. Hence, all hands on deck. Everyone must go out.
This is good, dear.
Research, find informed conclusions, and let those who are enabled to take that up and implement it start the work also.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prof. And there you have it. This has been such a good conversation, and I think thank you so much. You've already identified our next. We know exactly where to go. And then before I forget, and thank you so much NMT as well for providing us with the studio to have this good conversation. And the conversation to our viewers, please don't go anywhere. And I think it's probably the appropriate time to ask you to subscribe, but let's keep going. Thank you.